Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's address. With me, I have co-chairman Ben Boycott and CEO Ben Sadler. We'll be talking about Trivela's recent proposed purchase of Silkeborg in Denmark. So let's get things underway without any further ado. So, Ben Boycott, first of all, I guess the first question is, why did Trivela Group choose to purchase Silkeborg?
Yeah, great question. Hey, Paul. Hey, Ben. Hello, everybody. I think the big point that I'll make at the outset of all of this is at this stage we've made an offer to the shareholders of the holding company, and obviously we want to respect their time, respect their decision that they have to make. They may approve this, and they may not, and whatever decision they make, obviously we'll respect that completely. So just everything we talk about today is sort of on the basis of kind of why we're interested in this and what it may look like if we're fortunate enough for them to approve that. But yeah, as far as Silkeborg itself, it's an outstanding club, really well run from a business standpoint, really well run from a sporting standpoint. Just a really well run club with an outstanding fan base in a great city and in a great league, and so made all the sense in the world for us. Again, if they choose to have us, it makes all the sense in the world for us to try to be involved with it.
As you said, if they choose to have you, how does it sort of fit into Trivela's strategy and alongside Walsall, Drada, and Trivela FC in Togo as well?
Yeah, I mean, I've really kind of said from the outset that really at no particular preset pace, just as it makes sense and as there are opportunities that make sense for us to grow. We want a group of independent, important, well-run football clubs that matter in their local community, and that in some ways, have collaboration with one another, have learnings from one another, as we've seen with Walsall and Drada so far. But we're not kind of pre-scripting, predefining all of that. The bottom line is we want to invest in communities by investing in really well-run football clubs that make a difference in their communities, and that hopefully long term can collaborate with one another and have some shared benefits. And this, again, if they'll approve it, which they may or may not, but if they do, this fits into that, we think.
And also let's talk about sort of the financial aspects and the resource allocation. First of all, there have been some reports that suggested a significant sum was paid for Silkeborg. Are you able to confirm or clarify the amount?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, there's a few different numbers flying around in the media, but what's been reported initially is correct, which is that the offer for the closing amount is 120 million Danish krona, which is roughly equivalent to just over 13 million pounds. The reason there's a higher number flying around in some of the media reports is that there's also a mechanism whereby the sellers retain the profit that they've made so far this year, which is theirs anyway because they own the club, and so and they've had a very profitable year, and so that kind of added on retention of the profits from this year are why you've seen a somewhat higher number flying around.
Thanks for clearing that up. So how does this affect the sort of financial priorities of the other clubs within the Trivela umbrella, such as Walsall?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it affects them at all. I would sort of point everybody to I'm going to call it a bigger pie mentality, a growth mentality, and so I think Trivela is in this instance, again, if this is approved, Trivela's getting a little bit bigger, and it may be tempting to look at it and say, okay, well, Trivela has this finite set of resources, and so that means there's going to be less here and more there. But bottom line is just we've had some good success, and we're growing, and this is a part of that. So I wouldn't look at this as really taking anything away from Walsall or Drada.
So what, with the money allocated to acquiring another club, was there some fans probably thinking, why was this allocated to perhaps acquiring another club rather than perhaps further investment in existing clubs?
Sure. Yeah, I would caution away from. Yeah, and again, we may not invest this capital because the shareholders of the holding company may not vote yes. But if they do, I would sort of caution away from the thinking of well, that's less money here because it's more money there. And the way we've always operated with Drogheda and Walsall, as you guys know, is um, uh, equity equity acquisitions, equity involvement in what we believe are really good clubs with really good community roots and community impact, and then holistic investment from there, like we've done at Walsall, right? So investing in just organizational capacity in the front office, investing in facilities, as obviously we've done there in Walsall and in Drogheda, and yeah, investing in the football side, but doing so in a thoughtful, holistic way that builds the club both on the field and off. And I think we're seeing the fruits of that in Walsall and Drogheda today. And we would carry the same approach here in Denmark. Now it's never been the thought, and I've said this like really like even from the first time we talked, Paul, it's never been the thought that we were the sort of chancers, gamblers, if you will, who are going to come into any club and triple the player budget and try to buy promotion or buy Europe and this sort of thing, because I don't think it's responsible. I don't think it's sustainable. I think a lot of times it doesn't work, and what ultimately happens is clubs and communities get hurt off the back of it. And so, I would view this as we are investing, and we have invested holistically in our way in people and infrastructure and football in Walsall and Drogheda, and we'll continue to do so even as we grow.
So in terms of looking at the group of clubs within Trivela, how will this move affect Walsall's standing within the priorities within the group? Will Silkeborg, for example, take precedence as the main club? How will the sort of structure work within the group?
Sure. Well, look, Silkeborg is a large club. Of course it is. I would shy away from calling any club the main club. I don't think I've ever said that Walsall was quote unquote the main club, despite the fact it is probably a somewhat bigger club than Drogheda is. And so I'll just say again, and it probably gets boring to say the same things, but I'll say again what I've always said is every club obviously is deeply important to those communities, is deeply rooted in the fabric of those communities, and we're going to treat every one of them as independent. Not one exists to serve the other, if you will. They all have to be managed and built up in the way that's right for that club and the way that's right for that community. And as that goes on, to the extent there is cooperation, collaboration between them, then that's great. But we don't kind of force that or have that be for one club at the expense of another, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And in terms of the sort of collaboration between perhaps ourselves and Silkeborg, for example, so first of all, are there any plans for pre-season trips out to Denmark?
I think that would probably be pretty premature, given everything I've said a number of times about just the status the opportunity is at today with not even being approved yet. Look, obviously we've had a really nice time that we never sort of pre-scripted any of that with regards to the Walsall visit to Ireland this year, the number of Walsall supporters who did make their way to the FAI Cup final, and just some of that fun shared supporter experiences we've had between the clubs. It's happened organically as they've been in the group, and would be really fun one day if we had something like that involving Denmark as well. But time will tell.
Is it a similar sort of answer as well in terms of opportunities for loans and transfers between the two clubs?
Yeah, absolutely. I think what you see with that is, you'll have a group of clubs that will be having conversations, that will be collaborating, and sharing best practices, sharing ideas, these sorts of things. And to the extent that opens up the opportunities for player movement, and I've said this a bunch of times, player movements that's best for the one club, best for the other club, and best for the player, then fantastic, right? And I think that's been the case, even between Walsall and Drogheda. With Douglas going from Walsall to Drogheda on loan, that's not something that Trivela kind of top down said this is happening, right? That was really kind of an open dialogue, and it made the most sense in the situation for Matt Sadler. It made the most sense for Kevin Doherty, and it made the most sense for Douglas. And I think both clubs have really benefited from that. And so I'd say it's definitely more of that sort of thing. And look, just like I've always said, Matt Sadler decides, has the final decision on the players we sign in Walsall, and Kevin does. Then the sporting director and the manager here, if we're so fortunate to become a part of this club, that's not going to change. And so but again, holding that with a pretty open hand. And yeah, of course, I'm hopeful that there would be opportunities that come up that would be mutually beneficial for the clubs and the players, just like there has been between Walsall and Drogheda. But again, remains to be seen and a long way off.
And Stan, I'd just like to bring you in as well at this point. Since you've been at the club, you've probably seen the sort of synergy between Walsall and Drogheda. So, in terms of from what you've seen, what do you think Walsall fans can expect between all of Trivela's clubs in terms of the synergies?
Yeah, it's a good question, Paul. I will answer it, but I'll just sort of open and caveat with, I've been here coming up to 6 months now, and it's been a great time, getting to know Trivela and the staff and the club and the fans. And what have I seen in that time? Trivela have been absolutely crystal clear and consistent about why they're here and what the intention is and how we're going to achieve that. And that is the incremental improvement, and that is, supporting the club and us with resource, in the areas it's needed at the times. And, we're trying to be sensible around how we allocate that and do it in a way in which the club stands on its own 2 feet, which is what everyone, aspires to be. But it's Trivela who are helping us scale up, developments like the locker and, on the playing front, getting, a model and a squad in place that is representative of the area, and what we feel strong in the league. So, I think it's crystal clear, and so far we, Trivela and therefore we have been able to deliver on that. So this potential acquisition, I'll say from our point of view, it changes nothing in terms of focus or direction. And as you've said throughout here, it's gonna help us enhance our progression. There's a really well run, stable, sustainable club there, who we're going to be able to take loads of learnings and insight from, and also I'm sure we'll be able to support them in some areas where Walsall and Drogheda so far are leading the way, and I'm confident that there are plenty of areas that we can support, and help them push on. So we have strength in our collective, as with every club individually. The more people and the more good ideas are in place, the more you're going to succeed. So directly, again, I think Ben and Trivela have been very clear about the synergies between every club. Nothing changes here. So there's going to be plenty of learnings, opportunities for our staff and people to visit and meet their counterparts, and commercial opportunities to tap into across Denmark, Ireland, and ourselves here in the UK and Africa, which we are seeing. We are going through that, and that's helping us sort of widen our market, but also just access better deals. Shared experiences for supporters. We've had a great time this summer going to Drogheda for the pre-season game, and I know, as you've said, a lot of people went to the cup final a few weeks ago, and I think there's that feeling of unity and family within the group as well. And on the player development side, again, I think Trivela are different to a lot of groups who own a number of clubs, in that they do that largely for footballing reasons, and they come out and say we do it for reasons. We do want to do player trading directly between Club A, Club B, Club C, whereas Trivela again are very clear in that it is a byproduct that can happen, but it is only the case that it will happen if it works for everyone, as we see. And that's not the primary goal of why there's clubs joining this group and network. And all I'd say on that front, I think Trivela have acted with utmost integrity since I've worked with them, and it's important to me that I work with integrity and the people around us and take us at our word. And you'll see in the actions that we've gone through and will continue to go through, we are focused on making Walsall Football Club, better off, in a better place. And, I'm really excited about this potential deal and, what that can add to our already vastly improving position.
And Boycott, just to go back to you, do you sort of echo those sentiments? Obviously, Ben Sadler touches on how, it should really enhance what's going on at Walsall Football Club, and is it almost like business as usual in terms of the attention and dedication to Walsall Football Club as well?
Definitely, yeah. I would say there's definitely no drawbacks. Like I said, it's a growth mindset. It's a growth mentality. There's not something that's being taken away from Walsall Football Club here, and quite the contrary. I think, as Ben has said, there's a lot of things that they do really, really well here that I think we'll be able to take away from, learn from, grow from at both Drogheda and Walsall as well. But as Kent Madsen, the CEO here, has said as well, there's as Ben has said, there's opportunities for us all to collaborate with a growth mindset. Maybe there's other opportunities for synergies between the two in the areas Ben has said. Maybe one day some of those shared supported experiences we've had so far, if that's something that comes to fruition, and some of the other things Ben's mentioned. So again, really early stage. I definitely don't want to get the cart before the horse, because again, we've not been approved yet. But obviously, these are all some of the things that we're thinking about and hoping for long term, if it goes forward.
That's it. And as we stressed, if it does all get approved, of course. But I think in terms from the Danish and the Silkeborg perspective as well, talk us through about what kind of owners they can expect from Trivela as well.
Is that for me or for Ben?
Both of you. Start with you, Ben.
Well, yeah, I guess what I'd say is the message here in Denmark is very much business as usual, and hopefully business as usual with more opportunities in the long term. I mean, we're very impressed by the football club, what they've been able to achieve from a sporting standpoint, what they've been able to achieve from a front office and business standpoint. Great deal that's going really well that we can learn, and fortunately the current CEO and CFO and sporting director and head coach, who are all excellent, will continue to be in those roles, and yeah, so really I'd say what they can expect from us is my hope is that we can come alongside those people as partners to carry forward their legacy of excellence and continuous improvement. And as Ben has said, hopefully over time there's things that we can add to that as well.
And Ben Sadler, just for yourself, how have you found working with Trivela and working with Ben Boycott on a day-to-day basis? And have you seen the impact Trivela have had on the club and on the community as a whole in your 6 months here?
I noticed you asked me this one when Ben's on, so I've got to tell you, it's wonderful, which it is conveniently.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
What a stitch up. No, it's look, Trivela and Ben himself, for me, I've done exactly what, when I sat down with them before I joined and they said this is the direction we want to go in and this is how we're going to get there. I've come in and we're only very, very early in that long-term journey, but they're consistent. We look to improve every day, and that doesn't mean going from A to B overnight. Sometimes you've got to take small steps and get things wrong and work things out. And we've all got that mindset that we don't all have the answers, in the palm of our hands to everything, which is again why a potential acquisition like this is so useful, because it strengthens our knowledge and skill set and mindset. It can challenge what we think is maybe the right way. A diversity of thoughts and views is fantastic. But where Walsall now, we're stable. We're moving forwards. But I balance that against we're also winners, and we've got a desire to be as good as we can. And whilst I think sometimes people associate these words around stability and sustainability and incremental improvement as being a lack of ambition, or not happy to lose. It's completely wrong. We've all got the mindset that we want to be better every day and better over a long period of time, and the club moves forwards and goes into League One and becomes a force in there. So it's certainly, we're not just happy to exist and tick along. We're looking to be better, but we're looking to do it in what I believe fundamentally is the best way, which is a way that it can stand on its own 2 feet and can move forwards over a long period of time and not fall off a cliff. If any circumstance changes, it's not entirely reliant on somebody underwriting the club to the tune of millions and millions and millions every year that goes on a wage budget that doesn't get you promoted. I think it's the absolute best and right way to do it. And that is Trivela so far have absolutely delivered for me on what they told me coming into this environment.
Thanks, Ben. And just onto yourself, Ben Boycott. As Walsall fans would have seen, you're very visible in terms of Walsall, whether that be at the games you attend or through addresses like this, or your programme notes in the matchday programme and statements on the website as well. Just again, that's another thing that's business as usual as well from that perspective.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought anything will change in that regard. Well, just maybe a few more air miles is all. But no, love Walsall, love the football club, love being around, and we'll continue to do so.
Brilliant. And in terms of the future, Ben, in Trivela, obviously, I think Silkeborg's now the 4th club under the umbrella. Correct me if I'm wrong. But does Trivela plan to acquire any more clubs in the future?
It's possible. Honestly, I would say the same thing that we've said in the past. Like, I'll be honest and say right now, today, no plans, no real active conversations or anything like that. If the shareholders approve us to become a part of this football club in Silkeborg, we'll have plenty to be getting on with to get our arms wrapped around and make sure we understand and we're learning everything we can. And so, but I think I've always said, well, if and when we grow further, it'll be for the right reasons and in the right ways, never just to do it, but always in a way that we think is going to make all of us better, is going to make Trivela better, and we'll have opportunities to make every club better. And so, I know it's a general answer, but the answer is right now, no. It's possible in the future, and we're just going to hold that with an open hand and do the best we can with what we've been entrusted to steward.
And should this acquisition be approved, how will it align with Trivela's sort of broader ambitions in football?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say, go back to what I said at the outset, is it's our aim to have the opportunity to steward outstanding clubs that are well run from a business standpoint, that are well run from a sporting standpoint, that are winning, as Ben said, which is important to us. And again, this is a part of that. Silkeborg, if approved, would be a part of that, because it's a great club in a beautiful, incredible town that's been really well run, and we're just hopeful to have the opportunity to be a part of it.
Although obviously, thank you for this very detailed address to supporters. I just thought we'll round it off by perhaps a closing message from both of you for the supporters. So Ben Boycott, we'll start with you, and then Ben Sadler, if you'd like to follow as well with a closing message.
Yeah, I think so. Being very frank and transparent, since the announcement was made yesterday, there's been amongst the supporters here in Silkeborg, there's definitely been some skepticism of myself, of Trivela, of just kind of non-local ownership, which I totally understand. I mean, it's a bit of a bombshell announcement, and definitely there's been some skepticism around that, which I totally understand. I mean, I think there's been some really negative examples of foreign ownership, maybe especially American ownership in different parts of the world, and definitely in Denmark. A lot of times, as we know, because we work in it, it's an industry that attracts all sorts, right? And so I think there's a lot of people who've become involved in clubs with really short-term thinking, with greed and ego at the forefront. And you guys know me well enough to know that that's not us. But obviously, you've known me for a while, and and so you've had the opportunity to learn that about us. And so, what I would say, I guess, if there are Silkeborg fans who will watch this, I would just say, I just, again, if we're fortunate enough to become a part of your football club, I just ask you for what I said yesterday is give us the opportunity. Words are really easy to say, and talk is really cheap. I just say, give us the opportunity to prove what's true, which is that we have the right intentions and that we care not just about the football club, but about the community. It's not an impulsive thing. We've been talking about it for a while, and that we, if we're fortunate enough to be involved in it, that we would be involved for the long run and with the right, the best for the club and the community at heart. To Walsall and Drogheda supporters, man, I think, again, I'm actually not on social media personally, so I don't know, I don't see these things, but I've had a few sent to me, and some of what I've seen is that there's been a lot of positivity from Walsall and Drogheda supporters directed towards Silkeborg supporters who are asking questions. A lot of our supporters in England and Ireland sort of going to bat for us, if you will. And man, I've been really touched by that, honestly, and that means a lot to me. That the people who know us have backed us as doing what we say and being people of integrity. So I just say thank you, the Walsall supporters and Drogheda supporters. You guys are the best, and looking forward to seeing all of you again very soon.
Thank you, Ben. And yourself, Ben Sadler, a closing message, please.
There's very little I can add to that, really, other than business as usual here in Walsall. I'm hopeful that the acquisition in Denmark goes ahead and is successful, and really look forward to welcoming them into the family should that be the case. But we keep putting one foot in front of the other here, keep moving forwards. The fan base have been brilliant this season for us here. We're on a really good trajectory, so we're absolutely laser focused on continuing to improve every day. And hopefully on the pitch we can continue to have continue the wonderful start to the season, and we'll do everything we can on that front.
Brilliant. Once again, I'd like to thank you both for joining us on this call to talk about the potential Trivela purchase of Silkeborg. And Sadler's fans, thank you for watching.